Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now you may be wondering why I am uploading a video on a Monday. That is because I am going to be starting something brand new here. I know that my channel is still pretty new, but I wanted to add some interesting stuff for you guys. So what I'm going to be doing every other Monday is a book review on a book related to true crime, and today is the first installment of that awesome series. So the first book I'm doing is My Story by Elizabeth Smart. This book is really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm so excited to tell you guys about it. So My Story is the first-hand account of Elizabeth Smart's kidnapping, her abuse, and her eventual rescue. So I feel that before we really get into my review of the book, we should talk just very briefly on what actually happened with Elizabeth Smart. So on June 5th, 2002, a man entered the Smart family home in Salt Lake City, Utah. This man was Brian David Mitchell, and he is a religious fanatic, and he believed that he was a prophet of God. Mitchell called himself Emmanuel, and it was with the help of his wife, Wanda Ileen Barzee, that he was able to kidnap Elizabeth, and they went and hid out in the wilderness outside of Salt Lake City. So Elizabeth was kept chained up for months, and she suffered repeated abuse and rape from her captors. And eventually Mitchell decided that they were going to head out to San Diego to try to get away from the search for Elizabeth for a while. Eventually, Elizabeth was able to convince Mitchell and Barzee that they should head back to Utah. I'm not going to go into details about this. She does talk about it in the book, so you guys should definitely read it. But she was able to convince them to head back to Utah. And after they had gotten back to Utah, she was eventually recognized, even though she was in disguise. It was a very odd, suspicious kind of disguise that she was put in, and she was with two older adults, and it was believed that she was with Mitchell at this point in the investigation. So basically, somebody kind of recognized that this seems to match those descriptors, and they did call it into police. Police were able to confront Mitchell, and they were able to take Elizabeth away to safety. While they were questioning her, they were able to confirm that she was in fact Elizabeth Smart, and after 9 months, she was finally reunited with her family. So of course, this is just a very brief overview of what happened in her case, but her book does give you a much more in-depth look at what happened during those 9 months. It also goes over the night that she was kidnapped, and it goes over a little bit of information from after she was eventually rescued, which is it's a very interesting point of view to kind of look into. So this book came out, I believe, around the same time that I suffered from something that was very traumatic. It was not at all even the same type of thing that Elizabeth Smart went through, but it was something very traumatic for me. We had lost everything, my husband and I was suffering with PTSD, though I wasn't really aware of it. It's not something that at that point in time I would have been able to admit to myself, and something that really helped me through that was reading books, like biographies, memoirs of people who had gone through other really traumatic things. And so when I read this book, it was the first book that I had read after that traumatic event, and it just really resonated with me because it was a reminder that bad things happen to good people, and even when it seems really, really dark, you can still get through it. And that's something that I definitely felt a lot of while I was reading Elizabeth's book. So I would definitely suggest this book to other people to read. I really liked it. As I said, I really did connect with it when I was reading it. And I feel like it's a very interesting inside look into what kind of goes on in a person's mind in that kind of situation. And I feel like a lot of the times, people who are interested in true crime, we read about cases, and a lot of these cases are like people who have already been murdered or people who are missing who are suspected to be dead at this point. So I feel like it's kind of hard to think about what people who might still be alive in these kinds of situations are feeling, how they're dealing with it, how they're trying to get through it. And I definitely have some other books on my list that I would like to read and review for you guys from other people who have survived events like this. So I definitely recommend this book to anybody, and I am going to be including a special rating system on these videos for you guys, so you guys can kind of judge the content and the writing. So how I'm going to be doing this from now on, and I'm only going to really go into an explanation of it in this video, is that I'm going to give 2 ratings for each book that I review. The first rating is going to be a spyglass rating, and basically the spyglass rating is out of 5 spyglasses, and this book I am giving a 5 out of 5 on the spyglass rating. So that means that this book has very good quality of content. So the spyglass rating relates to the content of the book. Not all the books that I'm going to be reviewing are going to be memoirs or biographies, so I feel like you're a lot more often going to have far more accurate quality of information in a book that is like this, compared to maybe a book written from outside of a case. So the spyglass rating is going to be based on whether or not the content is good, if they had a good collection of information in the book, and whether or not that information was accurate. So I would definitely say in Elizabeth Smart's book, seeing as the information is coming from her, it's been seen as true throughout the years since all of this happened. There hasn't been anything to prove that whatever she's saying is a lie in any sort of way. So I definitely give this book a 5 out of 5 spyglass rating. So the next rating system is the pen rating system. And the way that this one works is quality of writing. Is it something that I feel like most people can read and understand? Is it something that I feel was written well? Was it written extremely poorly, which unfortunately I have run into with books, even popular ones, which is so strange. But so for this book, I am giving it a 4 out of 5 pens rating, and I think that this book was really, really good. I think the only thing that I really disliked about it was that I kind of wished it had been a little longer. There were some parts where I wish I had more information, but obviously, you know, that information's not coming out because that's not something that Elizabeth wants to share with the world. So I feel like this book did really, really good. I feel like the writing was good. Elizabeth did have a co-writer on this book, and that person's name is Chris Stewart. And I feel that they did a really good job overall. I feel that quality of writing would probably be difficult for me to give 5 pens out of 5 pens for that. So I think that a 4 out of 5 pens rating is really good. And I also think that this is a book that pretty much anybody could read and thoroughly understand. I don't think that this book would be too challenging for most people. So that is my review of My Story by Elizabeth Smart. And I hope that you guys liked it. I hope that you guys are more interested in it now if you haven't read it, or if you have read it, I hope that you guys maybe agreed with some of the points that I made. And I hope that you guys maybe go check it out from your library, buy it from the bookstore, give it a good read. It's definitely a good book, and I feel like if you're going through something really difficult or challenging or traumatic and you kind of need something to get yourself out of what your problems are and to kind of put yourself in the perspective of somebody else who may have gone through something also traumatic but different, that really helps me, so that maybe that could help you guys too. So again, this is My Story by Elizabeth Smart. I really, really do recommend this book to you guys, and I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you again 2 Mondays from now for another book review. Bye, guys.